Togikiss continuing to stay in, and Venusaur still not baiting, going straight for the Sludge Bomb. Sludge Bomb draws the final Protect Shield. The opponent gonna have to throw a charge if they throw. However, we now have the Sludge Bomb locked and loaded. I'm going to pause a turn, wait for the charm animation to start, and now Togikiss is going to get hit in the face. Welcome back to the home of Shadow Pokemon. As you can see from the intro, we're using Shadow Venusaur. I had a few people comment they'd like to see Shadow Venusaur in the Master League. Do I think it's any good? I'll be brutally honest, not particularly. However, it does have play against stuff like Fairies. I managed to go a nice 3 and 7 in my first 2 sets. However, I did get back-to-back 4-1s followed by a 2-3. So that pretty much tells you this is not a team for climbing. However, you the subscribers said you want to see it, so here we are. Without any further ado, let's get into the battles. And in game 1, we lead Venusaur into Metagross. You hate to see it. I attempt to catch the Meteor Mash onto Gyarados. The opponent shows great discipline, holding their energy. They do fire off a Meteor Mash anyway. The opponent then switches out to catch the Crunch onto their own Gyarados, and this will do some nice chip damage. Crunch lands. We get the defense drop. The opponent going to be forced to throw energy. The opponent throws on the CMP type. Once again, my 13 attack letting me down. Aqua Tail does secure the knockout. I can now send back out Venusaur, farm up to the back-to-back Frenzy Plants. One is going to take care of the Gyarados, and one should do some chip damage to Metagross. In every other league, I would say Frenzy Plant is an absolutely busted move. However, due to our lack of stat product, stuff that resists grass does not take a lot of damage. Out comes Metagross, we throw the Frenzy Plant, the opponent commits their shield, and I pivot out into Dragonite. I'm going to be forced to start investing shields. The opponent going to be throwing the first Meteor Mash. Dragonite going to be forced to shield. The opponent already at the second. So despite me being up shield, I'm now down a shield. Metagross throws the Meteor Mash. I'm going to farm up, throw the Dragon Claw. Dragon Claw will almost be lethal from this range. Even if the opponent lets it go, we'll get the Dragon Breath down afterwards. The opponent's final Pokemon is hopefully something weak. The opponent sends out Excadrill, and I'm going for the bait. I normally don't bait, however, I don't want the opponent to farm up too much extra energy. They shield the Dragon Claw, throw that energy immediately. Rock Slide will be lethal from this range. However, we now have a running start. Venusaur is going to outpace to the Frenzy Plant, but is Frenzy Plant going to be enough to secure the knockout? No, it's not. The opponent survives on 1 HP and a dream. I actually have all 3 of these Pokemon Best Buddy badged. However, Gyarados has the Best Buddy boost, and right there I wish Venusaur was repping it. Moving on to the next one. Venusaur into the world's most annoying fluffy looking cloud known as Togekiss. We go straight for the Sludge Bomb, and of course the opponent shields, because which charm user doesn't shield their charmer? I am going to shield up the Ancient Power. I can then throw 4 Vine Whips and the Sludge Bomb the opponent attempts to catch. However, as we intended to throw at good timing, no catch was available. The opponent Safeswitches into Snorlax, and I enter with Gary. I think Dragonite would have been the better Safeswitch, however it is what it is. I'm going to fire off the Crunch Fishing for the defense drop. Of course we don't get the defense drop. The big fat Snorlax still looking pretty healthy. I am going to invest my final Protect Shield here. Try and get all shields down with the Aqua Tail. Let's see if the opponent wants to win back switch. Aqua Tail will be lethal from this range. The opponent shields it up. They are going to have to dump energy. And then the plan of action from here is farm down with Dragonite when Togikiss does return. Switch out in the middle of the charm animation and hit him with a Sludge Bomb to the face. So I wait out my timer. The opponent actually brings Togikiss out immediately. I'm going straight for the Sludge Bomb. Sludge Bomb still doesn't one-shot. Fuck my life. I'm just going to throw the Frenzy Plant immediately just to get rid of this annoying cloud and hope Dragonite beats whatever's in the back. The opponent's final Pokemon is Waterfall Gary. Let's see if they're on Outrage. If they're on Outrage, they've got a chance. The opponent throws after only 6. They're repping Crunch and Aqua Tail, not the moveset trainer. Crunch doesn't do enough damage. I can now farm up to the back-to-back. I'm going to throw in the middle of the Waterfall animation to prevent any form of sneaky catch. Dragon Claw takes care of Gyarados, and one Dragon Claw going to take care of the big thick boy. GG's and thanks for playing. Moving on to the next battle. We lead Venusaur into Haxorus, not fantastic. We see the pivot into Gyarados, and the opponent brings out another Charm Togekiss. Holy crap, please stop running Charm. I really despise Charm, and it's literally on every team. It's probably some in the trenches. After tanking, trying to run some Spice. For Callum on Toast, huge shout out to Callum. I actually ran some battles yesterday, and I went 0-6 running Aggron, don't ask. For those of you that believe in the algorithm, when I was running Aggron, I didn't get aligned with a single Charmer. Lovely. However, getting back into the commentary, we call the Ancient Power. I'm going to attempt to Vine Whip farm all the way down. The opponent is going to make one more Ancient Power, and I'm going to respect with a Shield commit to the resisted Vine Whip farm down. Then when Haxorus does return, we've got the Sludge Bomb locked and loaded. Haxorus is pretty glassy. This should force a Shield, which it does, and I pivot out into Dragonite. The opponent has the Mole in the back, and this should be G to the G. Dragonite now has access to Super Power, and Super Power is going to one-shot. They've got non-stab Rock Slide. That trainer isn't going to cut it. I'm now going to farm up, fire off the Super Power on the CMP type. Super Power draws the final Protect Shield. I can now match shields. I'm then going to farm up, fire the Super Power on the 5th Mud Shot. This is where I actually am lacking knowledge. I don't know if Dragonite or Haxorus wins CMP. I was planning to reset my debuff, bank the Dragon Claw, but then if Haxorus farms up to the back-to-back, I could just lose. So I fire off the Dragon Claw. Dragon Claw isn't lethal. I'm going to switch out into Venusaur, looking to catch, and then we should be able to survive the counter and take him out with Dragon Breath. The opponent actually goes to the Night Slash. They get the boost. However, one Dragon Breath still enough to take a very close game. Let's go. In the next battle, we see a shiny Gary fast move check. It's on Waterfall. A matchup Venusaur does enjoy. The opponent then switches out into Dragonite, and we answer with our Dragon Tail Gary. We can tank one Dragon Claw, no problem whatsoever. We're going to return fire with the Crunch. Crunch is neutral, but the Dragon Tails have already chipped it down. The opponent decides to invest the Protect Shield. They are going to Dragon Breath farm us all the way down. However, they're so low, I'm going to be able to snipe with my own Dragonite and not even have to invest the shield. We come into Dragonite, we get the snipe. If I was a betting man, I'd say it's Togikiss in the back. It is Togikiss. I realise my switch timer isn't up. We've already seen one Sludge Bomb. Doesn't knock out, so I throw the Super Power. Super Power, going to put this into Sludge Bomb range. I'm careful to throw in the middle of the Charm Animation. Sludge Bomb draws the final Protect Shield. We still have 2 Protect Shields remaining. The opponent continues to stay in. It's going to be high Togikiss, bye Togikiss. Get absolutely wrecked. Back out comes Waterfall Gary. They're probably going to go straight Aqua Tail at this range. But just for science, I want to see how much Frenzy Plant does to Gary. We shield up the Aqua Tail. Return fire with the neutral Frenzy Plant. Frenzy Plant going to be doing huge damage. The opponent now going to have to try and Waterfall farm us down. Venusaur says, I've only got 3000 CP. But Waterfall Gary, you sir, aren't beating me. GG's and thanks for playing. Let's go. Pretty much every team I've run in MLP so far this season, with the exception of the Magnizone one, has been weak to this thing. Finally, I've picked the Pokemon that hard counters Primarina. The opponent shields up the Frenzy Plant. You can see the waterfalls are really chunky, and this is a disarming voice which would survive. However, I do want to maintain some health on my Venusaur. The opponent switches out into what I thought was a Dragonite, and actually it's a Gyarados. So I throw the Sludge Bomb like a potato. Sludge Bomb, less energy efficient than Frenzy Plant, but either way, the chip damage is going to be helpful. We can now tank the Crunch, commit to the Dragon Tail farm down. And then if Primarina does return, we should be able to get off a Crunch and an Aqua Tail. I'm going to go for the Crunch first in case the opponent weirdly commits a shield. I doubt they do, but obviously it has a chance of a defense drop. I go for the Crunch. Crunch goes unshielded. Gyarados survives the waterfall, makes the Aqua Tail. Aqua Tail will be lethal. The opponent sacks Primarina. They then come in counter farm down with Haxorus as we come into Dragonite. Dragonite can easily shield up this move. We should be able to Dragon Breath farm down. I don't know, but it's going to be close. If I can't, I can just catch back onto Venusaur. There's the catch for no reason whatsoever. The opponent hits no bobbles and gracefully concede the match. Moving on to the next battle, Shadow Venusuar into Haxorus. So I think the meta has changed quite a lot this season, because the difference between this season and last season is both Togikiss and Haxorus have had a calm day, and my god can you tell, as both these Pokemon are absolutely everywhere. The opponent threw the Breaking Swipe, lowering my attack, and then switch out into their own Gyarados. We get the defense drop, neutralising that debuff. The opponent now going to be forced to throw the Aqua Tail. Aqua Tail doesn't knock out, Gyarados survives. Best buddy boost coming in clutch. We fire off the Aqua Tail, lowering the health of this Gyarados. With the defense drop, I should be able to come into Venusaur, Vine Whip farm down before they make the Crunch. The opponent only makes an Aqua Tail. Easy tank for Venusaur. Well, I say easy, but even that does quite a lot of damage. We're already down to around 60% HP. If the opponent returns with Haxorus, I will be meeting him with a Sludge Bomb. The opponent actually sends out Metagross, and yikes, this is scary. In the 2 shield, you can see the bullet punches tearing apart my squishy Shadow Dragonite. I shield up the Meteor Mash. I'm going to now bait with the Dragon Claw. Am I the best master baiter in the world? Yes, I am. We draw a shield. The opponent is going to make the next Meteor Mash, and I'm going to anticipate the catch. I'm just going to continue to farm up. The opponent attempts to catch. They send out Haxorus. That gets completely farmed down. I'm now at the back-to-back superpowers. The opponent can shield the first if they want, which they do. However, we've got the second locked and loaded. Switch timer pops up, and you already know we're going to be serving up that Big Mac and the fries. Frenzy Plant locked and loaded, and Venusaur is a Metagross counter confirmed. Absolutely isn't, but I'm going to take that anyway. Moving on to the next one. Venusaur into Excadrill. The opponent immediately pivots out into Haxorus, and I answer with Gary. Gary going to easily be able to tank the break-in swipe. Then we can throw 3 Dragon Tails, fire off the Crunch. That'll be 1 turn before the next break-in swipe. Let's see if the opponent wants to invest the shield. They do not, so Gyarados takes back switch. The opponent unlikely to return with Excadrill. As we are ahead in energy, they actually send out their own Gyarados. We make the Crunch. Crunch will be doing big damage or forcing a shield. The opponent chooses to let it go. We get the defense drop, and my god, they're now deep in the yellow. I can send out Dragonite. We're going to easily tank whatever they throw. As I'm yet to see a single person run Dragon Breath and Outrage, they fire off the Crunch. We look to snipe with Venusaur. This should only be an Aqua Tail. Aqua Tail doesn't do all that much damage. Out comes Excadrill. We're going to fire off the Frenzy Plant. Excadrill going to be throwing shields up left, right and centre. The first Frenzy Plant draws a Protect Shield, and at this stage I'm just going to save my shields for Dragonite. The opponent actually goes for the less energy efficient Rock Slide. I'll take that because we're now going to make 1 more Frenzy Plant. This should force the final shield off the opponent. They actually let it go. They're now deep in the red, and we're going to be able to 2 shield flex and take another dub. Moving on to the next one. Another Togekiss. And guess what? I think this is the easiest bait you could ever throw in your life, as I'm going to throw a Sludge Bomb, and guess what? The opponent shields. I think I played this matchup like 5 times, and all 5 opponents instantly throw up a shield. So you could actually go for a risky Frenzy Plant bait. However, I don't know why I'm even telling this. I highly doubt you're going to be wanting to run Shadow Venusuar. I'm sure you're just here to watch me tank Elo and talk a lot of shit. However, we throw the second Sludge Bomb. The opponent commits both shields. They then attempt to catch onto Gyarados. We see the catch coming. We enter into the mirror. I am going to fire off the Crunch before the opponent reaches a potential Outrage. Crunch does land, and the opponent actually threw as well. So this can only be a Crunch. Easy tank. I'm then going to look to Dragon Tail farm them all the way down, and then if Togekiss does return, we're going to have some nice chip damage with the Aqua Tail back out. Comes Togekiss. Aqua Tail not going to do too much, but now they're most definitely in Sludge Bomb range. I will lose CMP, however the opponent is switch locked, so I'm going to take this opportunity to get rid of Togekiss because Dragonite definitely don't want to see it. We shield up the Ancient Power. Return fire with the Sludge Bomb. Sludge Bomb does one shot. I pivot out into Dragonite, and the opponent's got Excadrill in the back. Excadrill going to be pretty sad, as we've already seen Rock Slide. Not going to cut it. I can then return fire with a non-stab superpower. However, Excadrill, you forgot your HP stat, buddy, and that's going to be all she wrote. GG's, and thanks for playing. Are we going to see something that isn't Togekiss in the next battle? Excadrill. Venusaur doesn't like too many things in this meta, but we quite like Excadrill because we can survive any one move. And pretty much the Vine Whips puts this thing into Frenzy Plant range. The opponent actually goes for a Rock Slide, which leaves me with a lot more HP. I return fire with the Frenzy Plant. Frenzy Plant draws a Protect Shield. I am going to match shields. Look to play out the ones. The opponent again fires off the Rock Slide. They then pivot out into Hydreigon, and yikes. I choose to come into Gary because we do hit him for super effective and only take neutral. However, the Brutal Swing near one-shots me. Both my charge moves are resisted, so you may as well throw the Crunch. Fishing for the defense drop. The opponent tanks that, so Hydreigon actually wins the zeros, which is pretty impressive. I don't think I'll be able to resist Vine Whip farm this down, so I'm going to wait out my timer. Snipe with Dragon Breath when Excadrill does return. I've got a decision to make. Do I shield up the Rock Slide? I am going to invest my final Protect Shield here. The opponent is now 5 away from the charge move. The opponent then actually switches out into Metagross, and that definitely wasn't what I wanted to see. I fire off the superpower, hoping the opponent calls the first to actually invest that shield. So stay in school, kids. Learn to counter and catch the Meteor Mash onto Venusaur. Dragonite still got a whole heap of work to do. I farm up, throw the superpower just before the opponent reaches the Meteor Mash. I was unsure on the CMP. My top tip for everyone, if you don't know who wins CMP in a matchup like this, look it up afterwards. Dragonite does comfortably win this one by about 4 attack stat, but it didn't really matter as an extra Dragon Breath wouldn't have took him out and we still lose that game. However, I think I played to the win con. I farmed up to the back-to-back. hoping one superpower would take care of Metagross and one superpower would have took care of Excadrill. However, it didn't quite work out like that. In the next battle, we see the most common, boring lead of all. An annoying Togikiss user that obviously is going to shield my Sludge Bombs. The opponent actually double shields both Sludge Bombs. They then actually let me get to the next Sludge Bomb, so I'm going to shield this up. I'm then going to pause a turn, wait for the charm animation to start, and this Sludge Bomb will be hitting Togikiss in the face. Sludge Bomb rocks Togikiss. I then look to snipe with the resisted Dragon Tails. Togikiss makes the Ancient Power on 1 HP and the Dream Ancient Power. Does a whole heap of damage, however we do get the Dragon Tail farm down the opponent, sends out Excadrill, and we're going to fire off the Aqua Tail. Aqua Tail, not the best move, but my god, it near one-shots the opponent, over farms as much as they can. I'm just going to let Gyarados go down and save Dragonite with a shield and a potential sack swap with Venusaur, so I wait out my timer, allowing myself that opportunity to make a catch if needed. However, the opponent's final Pokemon is Haxorus, and this is just game over. Look at that HP melt. Dragonite absolutely having a tasty little snack, and that is going to round off the showcase. So if you're enjoying this content, I'd really appreciate you smashing that like, because I invested yet another 300,000 dust to make this Venusaur, and I'll be honest, it wasn't very good. Outside of Fairies, Waterfall Gary and Excadrill, it doesn't really have that many good matchups. However, this is the home of Shadow Pokemon. If you name a Pokemon, I've got the resources to build it. I'll do my best to showcase it. So if you're new to the channel, consider subscribing. If you'd like your own battles featured on my channel, link to a battle submission form is down below. And as always, a huge thank you to everyone for watching, and I will see you all in the next one.